pleased to present Shay Kleinschmidt, VP of Lending, FranFund. Shay, I've known you for a number of years. I enjoy what we started this, 3-4 months. So I enjoy talking to old friends. And as I said, we do this as a Coleman Conversation to let the industry know more about the leaders in industry. So Shay, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
You were 2019, we named you a Coleman Emerging Lender of the Year. We were right.
Thank you again for that award. I was honored, and yeah.
But you missed out. We were going to have a nice event in Vegas, and COVID came. And
right.
Anyway, tell us what you do.
So first, I'm VP of Lending at FranFund. FranFund is a funding consulting company that provides short and long-term funding strategies for franchisees and small business owners. Everything from startups, acquisitions, expansions, play a lot in the SBA space, but also we've helped facilitate the ROBS, or Rollover for Business Startup program.
What I enjoy about FranFund, and you work with both the purchaser of the franchisee, you arrange financing if they need that. But what I like is, which as lenders, we don't get into that on the street, boots on the street, but you will work with someone who's retiring out of corporate America and say, hey, I want to be my own boss. And you don't just give them one option. You consult with them and say, hey, what are you interested in? And where do you want to live? And tell me how that process works out.
Correct. Yeah. So we really get a comprehensive overview of what their financials look like, what's their business venture that they're working to pursue, what's their credit look like, and we run them through an overview of any and all funding solutions that they could qualify for, including ones that we don't necessarily facilitate in-house. For example, if they have a ton of equity in their home and they could utilize a home equity line of credit, then we'll be like, hey, this is a great product. Maybe you should go seek that. But we work through a lot of details and are able to provide them not only what they need to open perhaps the first unit or territory, but also if they're looking at expansion in the future and buying maybe 3 units total up front with the brand, how are they going to get those other 2 open? So we help strategize and set them up for success long-term as well.
Give me a case study, some situation that you're particularly proud of that it just fell into place for everyone.
Ooh.
Only one. You only get one.
Only one, yeah. I'm like, man, I've been here a while. I have to think about it. Well, I don't know if I can give you a specific just right off the top of my head, but I mean, we do have, I think we are... we feel the best when either we get a referral that came from that client that we helped get funded. So
nice.
That's just, confirmation that we did a really good job and they had a great experience. Or even better, when that client is successful on their first unit and they're coming back for a subsequent unit and looking for funding for that as well.
Tell me a little bit about FranFund. As a standalone entity, where would you rank in SBA loan production?
I think pretty high. So if we were a direct lender, which we are not, we would be in the top 15 of the top 100 most active SBA lenders,
Right.
And that's based on approved loan volume.
Approximate number of deals and dollar amount that you're going to be due in SBA 7A in 2025.
I wish I could release that for you, but because we're a private company, I can't.
Oh, come on. All right. Top 15.
But you can kind of figure it out if you go look at that list, right?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
No, I've known Jeff and you for a number of years. You do great work on that. What does the vice president of lending do?
So I manage our entire lending department. So we have 2 main roles. We have our lending specialist who help pre-qualify the candidate. And then on the back end, we have our operations team that helps with everything from documentation review and getting all that information in a pretty beautiful package to send to lenders, to getting them loan proposal letters from banks, and then continuing to assist all the way up until they're successfully closed. So I'm in charge of essentially everything that's involved in that entire process, start to finish, making sure we're compliant. I'm staying on top of what's going on in the lending landscape, the economy, and I sit on the leadership team here at FranFund as well. So bringing my perspective and knowledge on that end.
Shay, talking to you, I definitely hear your passion for what you do. How did you end up in this space?
I actually love telling my story because it's unique. My father was a federal criminal law attorney, and so I grew up in the
I
legal
did
world.
not know that. I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So, attorney in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I was always assisting him with kind of secretarial duties when I was a kid. So it was a natural progression into that field. When I graduated college, kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was working for a legal staffing company in Dallas, and they did some major layoffs. And I immediately got online and started applying everywhere. I found FranFund on Craigslist, which
No.
nowadays I don't think that would necessarily be somewhere I would go to find a job. But I applied for an accounting position actually. I had no experience in accounting, and I was watching YouTube videos on like how to do QuickBooks and stuff just in case they tested me. And long story short, I went through a very rigorous interview process, and Jeff and Sherry ultimately were like, well, we're not going to hire you here, but we have a position open in lending, and we're going to put you there and then kind of see how it works out because we do like you, just not in this accounting
Oh,
position.
what
And
a great.
I got in it, loved it, was very intrigued with SBA and franchising. And there used to be a Barnes and Noble downtown by our office. And I went in there and bought like a SBA book for dummies and franchising and just started soaking up as much as I could.
What a great story. Craigslist. You're right.
Yeah, I know, right? Craigslist, of all places.
No, I enjoy that story. Um, Tell me about franchise lending and SBA lending in 2025. Look, everyone out there is listening to this. They're bankers and they know that. But from your perspective, give me sort of a 30,000-foot view of let's I'm going to stop talking, please. You're nodding your head and I'm looking for words. So, when you're in a hole, start digging, please.
As SBA lenders know, the new SOP was released. So from a franchise industry standpoint and lending, I think that brought about great changes back to time-tested, what lenders are used to, guidelines that we were all missing under the old administration. So very happy the SBA franchise directory is back. I think that has allowed lenders to spend less time having to go through a lot of due diligence looking at a brand, and instead the SBA has taken that responsibility back. And I think it's good news for brands too, because it takes that just not that uncertainty out of the mix. Franchise lending, even with kind of, the unknown in the economy about how tariffs are going to affect things and whatnot, has been very strong. Our lead flow has continued to see growth compared to last year. I think if anything though, and I've heard this from franchisors, lenders, and other companies like us, we have seen kind of a slowdown though in the turnaround time. So people are just a little unsure and taking a little longer to make some major decisions, taking longer to find real estate. So we're seeing the turnaround time lengthen a bit. But SBA lenders approval times though, we've seen those stay pretty quick and good, especially with the new guidelines and the directory back. But franchise industry is thriving right now.
We all know the answer to the question that I'm going to ask you, but I think we need to be reminded, what is the advantage of someone who wants to get into a franchise signing up for a franchise unit as opposed to being a mom and pop and doing it themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they have a proven model of success, right? So lenders, it takes, they're still having to do their normal underwriting and prudent lending decisions, but it takes some of the risk out of it. Mm-hmm. You also have a franchisor that is providing that person support and marketing potentially, and they have other franchisees in the network that they can consult with, and maybe this franchisee is just killing the numbers and say, oh, hey, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And it's just you have more like that built-in network and support system there.
No,
Whereas, yeah, mom and pop, especially a startup mom and pop for a lender, they don't necessarily have direct experience. They don't have this proven model that they can lean on. And as long as they follow A, B, and C, they should hit these numbers. So it's just a lot more risk. Yeah.
we're seeing the risk also business acquisition loans, the same concept. You have the buyer who is not going to hit the numbers that the seller did. And then there's an uptick in problem loans that if the seller doesn't know what they're doing, and that doesn't mean they can, if the buyer doesn't know what they're doing, it's going to be a problematic for both that company, the employees, and the lender. Let's go geography. What parts of the country are good in your vision right now?
We're pretty in line with what the IFA's economic outlook was. So, but we are Texas based, even though we're national, we still see a ton of growth in Texas. That's the only state that wasn't in the IFA report as seeing major growth that I would say we're seeing a little bit differently. But Florida, gosh, I'd have to pull a report, but
well, I was just also looking. I just did a report that said if Texas by itself was a country, where it would be ranked, what was it? Definitely top. When was the top 10 in the world's economy? So Texas is a great economy.
Yeah, I saw what you released, and Fort Worth even was really high up there too, right?
Yeah. What about industry? What industries are crushing it?
Health and wellness is huge. I feel like really ever since COVID, pet industry is still really big. Service-based businesses, I think, because they're just so resilient. People are always going to need, home restoration and things like that. So that's still really big in our space. Mental health and medical brands, those have been huge over the past, I want to say like 3 or so years, and we still see a ton of those. And then quick service restaurants, those are always really big. Fitness, still big.
Good. We named you the emerging lender. What advice, and I was looking at, thanks to ChatGPT, some of the things you're involved with. What advice would you give a young woman professional about SBA lending career?
I would say networking is everything. Build relationships, peers, other lender relationships, and just soak in as much knowledge as possible. Go to these events, join NAGLE for sure. But I just learned so much from going to these conferences and sitting in on all the sessions and meeting people and just creating a really big, vast network of people in this industry.
I think that's a great answer. In fact, we did Sean Murray that we profiled last week, and he said the same thing, is that people want to get out from behind their computers and meet people, and it's almost back to the future. Because in our industry, you quickly find out people that do what they say they're going to do, and that's very important when you're dealing with a number of different lenders and a number of different credit boxes and situations. At the end of the day, you want to be able to provide the best service for your customer, and you don't want to waste your time, and you want to provide a good quality product for that lender.
Correct. Yeah, it only takes a few bad clients or reviews to soil your reputation, and you'll start going elsewhere.
Future of franchise lending over the next 3 or 4. I'm not going to go 5 years. I'm going to just will the trend continue? I'll leave it at that.
I've been at FranFund 13 years, and we've had a year of growth every single year. So I don't see anything major impacting that. I think that even with, all the things that are going on under the new administration, I think it's just, it's important to be proactive instead of reactive. So, for example, if a brand does have vendors or they are exporting or importing, to stay ahead of it. How is that going to affect your business? Explore other alternatives. So really just being prepared for any scenario.
And one thing we've learned over the past 13 years, you got in there right at the cusp or the end of the Great Recession, is change is a constant.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what makes the franchise industry so great too is where one industry may be negatively impacted by whatever is going on in the world, another industry could be completely thriving. So it's resilient in its own way, depending on what exactly is going on.
Right.
And you could pivot.
Absolutely. Shay, thank you so much for stopping by. Really enjoyed talking to you. And it's been nice to watch your career growth, and congratulations to all the success that you've attained. You've definitely earned it. Shay Kleinschmidt, Vice President, Lending, FranFund.
Thanks, Bob.